Let's get ready to rumble!
They say Adam KOWNACKI, they're saying 2019 he turned down £5 million, $7 million, whatever source you go to, depending, to fight Anthony Joshua at short notice after Jarrell Miller blew his title shot by pitching up the whole PED cabinet, popping dirty for several substances. So Adam said he wasn't in shape to fight. A lot of people speculate that the PBC just didn't want their heavyweights to fight on a Matchroom Sky DAZN card. Luis Ortiz turned down a similar offer as a late substitute. Andy Ruiz, another PBC heavyweight, didn't turn it down, and he pulled off the upset. We all know about that now. How was Andy able to free himself of the shackles and take the deal if KOWNACKI and Ortiz were not able to because they were ordered not to? If that is what's happened, I'm not saying 100% because I wouldn't know 100%, but that's what's being put out there. Maybe because at the time Andy Ruiz was prioritized a little lower than them two as PBC heavyweights, they thought, yeah, well, let him go. They ain't got much for him right now. Let him go. At the time, it looked like it was grooming KOWNACKI and Luis Ortiz for future Wilder opponents, even though Wilder had beat Ortiz once. There was a rematch shortly after Ortiz himself turned down the AJ smoke. See, people can say, oh, Andy blew his opportunity because he didn't come in shape in the second fight. Unless Andy's got some serious spending habits. Andy's set for life over 2 fights. Set for life. I bet you any money Andy's got more in his bank account than Adam KOWNACKI, and yeah, I'm watching the pockets. That's what I'm talking about this section of the video. So he turned down that fight there. Then he went in the ring with Robert Helenius for around, depending what source you go to, I've seen it posted, he got 300,000 or 150,000, depending what source you go to, dollars. And got slapped all around the place by Robert Helenius, who shortly before he took on KOWNACKI was defeated by Gerald Washington, who KOWNACKI knocked out in a few rounds for 150 grand, as opposed to taking the 5 to 7 million, whatever source you believe, against Joshua. That was 2019. 3 years on, it's rumored that he was offered 1.2 to fight Derek Chisora, who had lost his last fight to Joseph Parker. 1.2. Nice little trip to London for 1.2 million. Instead, he takes on Ali Demirezin. Hope I pronounced the young man's name right. Now, how much did he get paid? Couldn't find no quotes for what his purse was today. Let's just say this. Adam KOWNACKI was on the undercard to Danny Garcia and Jose Benavidez. Benavidez in the main event got 500 grand. Danny Garcia got $1 million. How much do you think KOWNACKI got as an undercard fighter? Do you think he got as much as Danny? Now, unless you're one of them PBC fanatics who likes talking about the back end money, well, all Adam KOWNACKI is getting is the back end of the pantomime horse, right? He went into that fight with Benavidez with 2 losses on the bounce. 2 losses. He didn't clear $1 million. He didn't clear $1 million. He didn't clear $1 million. He didn't make no 1.2 yesterday. Tell you what, he's never going to get that AJ payday again. He's never going to get no promoter offering him 1.2 to fight any fighter. That's never going to happen again. Did Adam KOWNACKI make all these decisions is what I ask myself. Did his manager, Keith Connolly, have a say in some of these, what appear to be poor decisions he's made? Was it Al Heyman? I haven't seen the Demirezin fight. I saw a couple of bits. I just haven't had the time. But he's officially now a PBC trial horse. And apparently KOWNACKI turned down the Chisora fight because Chisora signed his part of the contract on Twitter and they wasn't happy about that. If that's true, it just makes it even more pathetic. It really does. Now he's reduced to asking for one more fight so he can leave his fans with a win. You're waiting on Al Heyman's call so you can get back in the ring? Is that what you're doing now? That's 2 gargantuan paydays that Eddie Hearn has offered this man. And that's the second time he's lost his next fight after turning down that Eddie Hearn payday. Some people are already talking about this as a fight of the year candidate. I think a lot of people were surprised by Isaac's ability to counterpunch off the ropes. That right uppercut worked a treat for him all fight. Chris Billiam was very aggressive. You know, he met Isaac's fast jab with his own powerful jab and his strong right hands. Chris lacks a lot of natural speed, and the Jai Opetaia fight is something that Gene Lonergan likes, because if they can bring that to the O2, I don't think Sky are going to put that fight in Bournemouth. London is the more lucrative venue where they can sell bigger ticket prices. Or it could go to Australia. Maybe Dean Lonergan offers to bring Chris Billiam Smith out to Australia. But Jai Opetaia is not going to make a lot of the mistakes that Isaac made. Isaac fought a good fight, but he made a lot of mistakes. Although Jai, he's got a broken jaw and a lot of injuries there to recuperate from, so he could be out of the ring for a long time. Isaac had Chris Billiam Smith hurt on a couple of occasions. Early in the fight, he was hurt, and late on, last 10-15 seconds, he definitely had him buzzed, and the bell rang. What a grueling battle it was. Billiam Smith was bruised up around the face, his mouth seemed to be damaged, Isaac's eye, his left eye was closing. Both men showed durability. You can say they're not the biggest punchers at the weight class, but you still got to be able to take a great shot considering how much punches they threw and landed. Like, the pace they set for cruiserweights, people have to remember these used to be the heavyweights of our day. In fact, Isaac and Chris are bigger than a lot of the British heavyweights of the past. They're just choosing to boil down to 14 stone plus, the cruiserweight limit. And the pace they set, the amount of punches they threw. Like, I went live and I was saying eventually the pace has to slow. And it did. It did slow and then it picked back up again. Both men just played Russian roulette. Not much defense, but it was exciting as anything. Like, these type of fights will take a lot out of the fighter. And I wonder who is going to suffer more from this fight. You know, Chris will be happy. He's got momentum. He got the W. He got a unanimous. The fight was closer than that, though. Don't be fooled. Isaac probably stood in position to get the return fire longer than what he should. Should have been using his feet a lot more. But Chris, he came forward and tried to deny Isaac as much space as he could with his non-stop aggression. And it was an excellent fight. Yeah, fight of the year contender. British and Commonwealth titles, and they put it on there, man. They really put it on. Chris's championship round finish, though, was impressive until he got tagged in the last few seconds of the 12th. That was impressive. Hey, maybe we could get a rematch. Both men need a long rest, though. Perhaps Isaac could have got a draw because he was pushing Billiam Smith back as well. He didn't just count off the ropes. He had more than his fair share of being the aggressor in this one. But this was Bournemouth, and he was always going to struggle to get a decision there. I've been talking this fight up for a little while. I knew it was a very good matchup, and it sure didn't disappoint. It exceeded even the highest expectations it had. It was that good a fight, and if you ain't seen it, you need to go see it. A disappointed Chamberlain post-fight said the ring rust didn't help him, and I said in my breakdown of this fight that the competition that he's fought in the last few years and the infrequency could be the deciding factor, and, well, Isaac's saying it himself. Billiam Smith, Sky need to cash that world title fight in as quick as they can, because you can't help but think there's a lot of limitations there at world level. Get him that title fight now and see what you can do. Neither man can afford to have too many battles like that unless they're challenging for top money in world title fights. Isaac was kept in hospital with a broken orbital bone, left eye. Had scans and all that, but apparently he's alright. So what did I see on the card? I saw Mikel Lawal against Andino. He stopped his man with a left to the body. Could probably do with a step up now, Lawal. This ain't going to do him much good. I think he's had a little timeout with injury, so they gave him this layup. But he needs to step up now. Saw the debut of Olympic silver medalist Ben Whitaker against Greg O'Neill. Second round stoppage or knockout. Yeah, you know, flash, fast, rangy, taunted his opponent. The right hand finish was quality. If Sugar Hill can bring him on, and the chin holds up, we have a superstar in awaiting in the United Kingdom. There's no doubt about that. Greg O'Neill, not really a light heavy though, not the most durable opponent in saying that. It was a showcase fight, a PR fight, and it was a very successful PR fight. Let's get that straight. The right hand was quality though. Blindsided his opponent, and the shot went over his opponent's forearm and he didn't really see it coming. It sort of swung around O'Neal's periphery and crashed into the side of his head. Out he went. Frazer Clarke is now 2-0. Bracamonte, his opponent, took Jarrell Miller the distance. A lot of people are going to make a deal of that, but Jarrell has been out of the ring a long time and he was very, very heavy for that fight, extremely slow. And Frazer got him out of there in 2, doing what he's supposed to do, and did it well. Heavy-handed. Hopefully he'll be in the domestic shake-up not before too long. We'll see what he's got. Caroline Dubois, her opponent Happy, that's her name, had a lot of issues with her gum shield from the start, and she was woefully out of her depth, wasn't she? And she got beaten up for 3 rounds and the referee mercifully stopped it. Caroline goes to 3-0 now. Lee Cutler, a lot of these opponents are to be announced as well. Like Lee Cutler's opponent was to be announced, but he was very tough, very durable, and gave Lee a very good workout coming in at short notice. I saw Hassan Azim. He's 4-0 now, I believe. His opponent, Jacob Quinn, overcame a rocky start, but Azim was going a bit mad for the early finish, wasn't he? He's going a bit crazy for the early finish. He needs to settle down and work on his skills. It's not all about just trying to bang someone out there early. You know, there's game plan and strategies to adhere to as well. And if you're not doing them early in your career, you're going to come a cropper late. So he needs to stop getting so excited. His trainers have to try and calm him down. But Jacob Quinn, he showed a lot of durability and a lot of toughness, and he came back, landed his own shots and made a fight of it. Went the distance. Josh Kelly, he went to 12-1 and won. I wasn't blown away with what he did, but he's still in rehabilitation after the David Avanesian loss. So it's easy to be tough and hard, and while we're not going to avoid pointing out what needs pointing out, Josh still looks like a relatively timid fighter right now. Like George Groves said after that, he's not punching through the target. That's because he's not prepared or setting his feet really to punch with any authority. The WBO International Super Welterweight title was on the line. Kelly was cut over the left eye, I believe it was. And he looked relieved to get the decision at the end. He looked relieved. Troy Williamson was in the crowd. He said he was falling asleep watching Josh perform. He managed to ambush, let's say, Josh's interview, and he wants that fight. The British Boxing Board of Control have ordered Troy Williamson versus Josh Kelly for the vacant 154-pound British title. And Kelly was backed into a corner saying, yeah, a lot of people want to see the fight, and it's makeable. I don't know if they want to throw Josh in right now, but I'd like to see it. The reason I'm not destroying Josh Kelly saying he's awful is because I never really believed in him when a lot of people were hyping him up. I didn't think he was all that when he was undefeated. So I'm not surprised his career is where it's at. But redemption is possible if he can get his mind right, and he could get back in the mix and possibly become a world-class fighter. You never know. It could happen. It could happen. I'm not going to write him off. I'm just not that impressed. I'm not sold on it right now. Kelly, he does some nice defensive moves. Some nice counters. So there's stuff to work on. Kelly and Nice, you know, they've got this slot on Channel 5. And since the Bentley Udofia fight, the main events have really sucked. This one was not much more exciting than the Nathan Gorman versus the Euro guy. Not much better than that. And then I saw HARLEM EUBANK, probably the chief support, win by disqualification against Elliot Chavez, who apparently has stopped Mauricio Lara. Although Lara is a lot smaller than him, and this fight was at 140. I want to big up State O'Reilly from Twitter. I saw his tweet, and this brought it all to light for me. He says, the referee in the Eubank-Chavez fight caused all them issues. If you want him to stop, get in the middle. That was awful from the ref. And he's correct. You know, you're shouting break from way from the action. And, you know, like, this guy didn't come to mess around. He didn't come to play. And it is protect yourself at all time. If you think the fight's getting too aggressive, you have to be aggressive as the referee and take charge. And he didn't do that. The referee was so far away from the action, the Mexican threw about 3 punches and decked Eubank in the 6th. You're too far away from the action. Kenny Pringle, his name is. Kenny Pringle, the referee. Looked like he was eating Pringles in the ring. You know what I mean? Like, concentrate on your job, man. Do your job. So Eubank was on the floor 6th round. Now, he took full advantage of the time he was allowed to recover. He didn't look impressive in the fight to me. He didn't look impressive at all. And in the 9th, same thing again. The referee shouting break from well away from the action. He catches Eubank with a tap. And Eubank, his legs went everywhere. And then he got disqualified. No, I wasn't impressed with that one bit. I wasn't impressed with that. If Eubank thinks he's any kind of a fighter, he should ask Cali, can you bring this guy back in a couple of months and we can do it again, or next card? I want to do this again, and set it straight and show him that I'm a level above. He said he didn't know the guy was going to come for a street fight. If it's a street fight, let me know the rules before. Good dude. Protect yourself at all times, yeah? Don't be looking at referees or making gestures like you can't hit me when you're in a boxing ring. That's not how you box in the pros. It just isn't. I wasn't impressed. Wasn't impressed at all. His opponent actually stopped Mauricio Lara, although he's a lot heavier than Mauricio Lara. Yesterday's fight was at 140. Eubank, from what I remember, has campaigned mainly at 135 or lightweight. Eubank said he was frustrating his opponent outboxing him. And while I agree he was frustrating Chavez, outboxing, I didn't see much work in there, quality work. I really didn't. I didn't see much. Once again, I can't be too critical because mastering the feet in the squared circle is extremely difficult. And that's where Danny Garcia beat Jose Benavidez. And the funny thing is, that's where Sean Porter beat Danny Garcia. It's the footwork, the quicker feet, the ability to get where you need to be before your opponent. And that's where Danny Garcia beat Jose Benavidez. A lot of the rounds were closely contested from what I saw. It was a majority decision. Garcia, through combinations, doubled his jab up, jab to the body, while Jose, he was limited to throwing a couple of power shots per round. And he done okay. He done okay in the fight. He just can't use his feet to step in with his jab. I heard something that he wasn't happy with Garcia, the way he performed. See, Jose is the type of guy who believes if you don't let him just punch you in your face, just stay in the same place to get punched up, he believes you're running and you're fighting a coward's fight. He actually believes that. I think it was around the 7th round where Danny started really trying to throw hard punches to see if he could get a reaction out of Benavidez, but Benavidez wasn't going nowhere. So they're saying this is Danny's debut at 154, but Benavidez is not really a 154-pound fighter. This is both new to them, this weight class. How did Danny look? Danny looked like the gulf in opposition is stacked in his favor, and he just knows so much more than Jose through fighting the likes of Errol Spence, Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, Lamont Peterson, Lucas Matisse, Amir Khan, Herrera, amongst others. Jose's jab wasn't bad. He just didn't build off it. His feet wouldn't allow him to get a foothold in the fight, despite him being quite long and probably bigger than Danny at the weight. Tony Harrison was in the crowd and they interviewed him yesterday, and he says he loves Danny, he wants Danny to win, but Danny has moved out of welter and he's now messing around in his division, and he wants that Danny Garcia smoke. He wants it. A fit and motivated Tony Harrison at 154 gives Danny all the issues he just might not be able to deal with, because he can use his feet and he can jab. It just depends if there's anything left in the tank. I think a lot of Danny's punches were blocked, but the facts are the facts. He had too much variety for Benavidez, and there's not much more I can say about it really, except that it's going to be interesting to see his opponent choices, and if he could put himself in a position where I see him as a serious contender at 154 for Jamal Charlo's 4 straps. I mean, who's out there? Fundora, Tim Tszyu. Has Lara moved up to 160? Danny broke down in tears after, had some psychological battles, and paraphrasing, he used boxing as a way to motivate himself out of what he was going through. So I wish him the best. For Jose Benavidez, well, he was never no live contender at 147, and he certainly ain't no live contender at 154. And with that, I bid you all farewell.